starts now.
Da 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 up up
Sooner, 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 sooner.
hey hey.
Sona, what the fuck is your Twitch? Hold on. What is your Twitch?
Suna to
Give me your
Sukino.
Twitch.
Suna to Sukino. With an underscore at the end
Sooner,
again.
sooner, sooner to seek no. Ah!
I know. It's an underscore between Suna and Tsukino.
I am going to pull it up and
Yeah!
I'm gonna post it in announcements.
I found you.
Cool.
Make me a mod in your chat, Suna.
I
No,
forgot how to spell Sutsu.
I don't know how to do it and I don't feel like doing it.
I think
And-
it's Sukino. Sukino?
Tsukino.
I don't know. I probably spelled it wrong.
Yo! Man. I'm watching. I don't have the volume up though because I don't want to hear my voice.
Turning the
I
volume all the
hate
way up
hearing.
and ignoring anything but my voice and being egotistical.
Wow, that's literally.
Narcissistic.
I'm gonna put this in announcements.
It takes me like 10 tries to be able to spell narcissistic, and I only get it because of autocorrect.
Okay, are we ready to go?
Yes.
Ready to
Yeah.
start? We all know our parts.
Yeah, I'm good.
Clear your throat.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to get my vocal training done. Don't me too. Why not me?
Okay.
I don't want to get you copyrighted because I sing so much just like. What's your name?
Okay, I'm gonna start. You guys ready?
Okay.
You focused?
Hopefully. Wait, let me get on mine.
Please.
I got this. I got this.
I'll start now. Passerine by Blue Jammas / Theseus.
I'm sorry. I got.
Chapter 1. Why are you laughing?
I got kicked out of the freaking call.
What do you mean you got kicked out of the call?
I just wanted. Yeah, I don't know how I got kicked out, but I got kicked out. Okay, you can start. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Who's got a fucking baby?
I do, but it's not mine.
Please distance yourself
Can
from
I-
the baby.
I'm gonna go in the restroom just because you tell me to.
Okay. Chapter 1. He must have had a life before this. A mother, a father, a home, maybe sisters or brothers. But it had been so long, too long, and now all he knew was this bloody game. His hands knew no other shape than fists curled tightly around a sword, swinging eternally, finding its mark through skin and bone. They all tried to run, of course. They built walls and cowered in corners, but he always found them. Sometimes they begged, sometimes they chose to jump from cliffs rather than face his reckoning. And sometimes they stared back at him with eyes as empty as his own and welcomed death with open arms. Those were the ones he envied the most. Technoblade never dies, they whispered around campfires, around funeral pyres. He prayed that wasn't true. The voices led him to kingdoms and shires and towns. It didn't matter what they offered him in return. The voices didn't demand coin, they demanded blood. He fought bold men and stupid men, greedy kings and starry-eyed rebels. He fought for armies doomed to fail and dragged them into the light of glory. He had lost count of how many allies he'd fought beside. After a time, their names and faces had faded into the recesses of his hazy memory. And then there was the Angel of Death. He was one of the very few people with a reputation that matched Technoblade's. He heard of the angel through whispered stories and snatches of tavern gossip. I heard he has obsidian wings, one patron would say to another over a cup of ale. I heard he once massacred an entire army, all by himself. He makes even the green god afraid. Technoblade had begun to imagine a ruthless man, an immortal butcher with the same wretched grin as his. But Filza was not an avenging angel. He was just Filza. They met by coincidence, in a land of ice and snow. It was barren, but they made quick work of it, together, first as allies, then as friends. Through it all, Filza had smiled instead of grinned, laughed instead of cackled. On calmer days, they'd while away time with tea and chess, and silent meditations that quieted the screaming in Techno's head, if only for a little while. This is your part now, Kai.
But it's,
Oh fuck! Wait, am I reading all the titles? All right, cool. Progress, awesome.
Oh
All
my
right.
god, Kai.
Wait.
You know.
Techno had said during one of their sparring matches. They had to stay in shape, of course, because peacetimes never lasted as long as people hoped.
Fuck, hold on.
I got this is the place you were in.
Scuffed
Sorry,
stream,
had to-
scuffed
no.
scream.
I had to take a drink. The stories never talk about this side of you. Ooh. Alright, sorry. Alright, keep going.
Filza had paused, a amused smile on his face.
Oh?
He said.
What do the stories talk about then?
Oh fuck, yeah.
Doesn't know how to read, doesn't know how to read.
Hold on. Wait, where is it? I'm looking at the street. Wait, that was before. They call you the Angel of Death.
Techno dug his heels in as Filza resumed an onslaught of blows with his gold sword.
They said you leave a path of disgrace. Fuck the shit, dog. And you're awake. Nothing. Ha.
Techno parried and went on the offensive.
Nothing is scared of you. Of
Sacred.
Sacred. Fucking, I don't know. It's like 360p.
Their blades met. They pushed against each other, trying to gain an upper hand, and it was only because they were standing so close that Techno noticed the shift in Filza's eyes, a momentary coldness that was as brutal as the blizzard raging outside. It was there and gone in an instant. Light returned, and Filza laughed as he pushed back against Techno's sword.
Stories are curious.
Filza said as he swung again, barely giving Techno the time to dodge.
Some of them are true.
He moved so quickly, Techno could do nothing but stand there as Filza rushed him with a hilt to the ribs, knocking Techno backwards onto the training room floor. Techno scrambled to his knees, but Filza was already standing over him with his sword held high above his head, his eyes glimmering with an emotion Techno couldn't place. For once in his mortal life, kneeling there in front of the first person he called friend, Techno felt hunted. And then Filza lowered his weapon. He smiled gently down at Techno, the soft smile Techno was used to, and offered Techno a gloved hand.
And some of them are not.
Filza finished.
So, best of two out of three? What?
Do I need to baby rage with this? He sounds mad. Oh wait, no, he says it playfully.
Playfully.
Ha 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 ha. God, you're such a bastard.
Techno said playfully, even as the voices screamed, "Run, run, run!" He took Filza's offered hand and pulled him up beside the man that he was sure could have cut him into two, no matter how dull the sword's edge was. As Filza patiently moved Techno through all the things he'd done wrong, small things like a foot placement and his hilt grip being an inch off, Techno found it equal parts amusing and frightening that despite his eons of bloody fighting, it took only a few minutes of sparring for Filza to find flaws in his technique. But then again, Techno's technique wasn't particularly polished. It only took one brutal swing to fell most people. Something told him that Filza would be harder to kill than that. They conquered nations, he and his golden-haired friends. They were bathed in glory, twin gods shining in the middle of bloody fields. But as their empire grew, so did their enemies. They came in droves, day after day. Before long, Techno had forgotten what peace tasted like. The days were long and the nights were longer. What was that?
I said yummy.
Shut the fuck up. The days were long and the nights were longer. Every flicker of movement was a spy in the shadow. Every ally was a potential traitor. Every word was a declaration of war. Their home had become a target for 1,000 armies. Through it all, his one constant was Filza. Until he wasn't. Technoblade simply looked up one day from a map detailing enemy lines and realized that he'd been talking to empty air. He had no idea how long he'd been alone, sitting in a dusty library with stale tea untouched in the corner. He had no idea if Filza ever said he was leaving, or if he was simply went as he arrived suddenly, swiftly, like a snowstorm. Afterwards, there was hardly any point in maintaining the Empire. The voices were getting bored anyway, and they wanted more. A fresh fight, more stories. So Techno took his sword and his shield and abandoned ship. He'd done it a million times before, but the thought of a chessboard lying unused in a crumbling castle made him feel something close to regret. Technoblade wandered the world trying to appease the voices. Neither of them were ever satisfied. No matter how much chaos he dealt, there was always more work to be done. So he worked. He had no idea for how long. All he remembered from that bloody time was a sense of unfulfillment, like a story had been left unfinished halfway through. Years, decades, maybe more. It hardly mattered. In the end, he knew it would all be the same. The world would end, and he would remain, always fighting, always alone. Thoughts so far?
I don't know how
Oh,
to
that was the
feel.
first chapter already?
No.
We're just taking a break, I
Well,
guess.
that's kind of been
That sounds funny.
I just need a water break, okay?
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I get it.
so hot. of
Okay,
you.
I'll continue.
Sounds nice.
He didn't know what brought him to the kingdom in the first place. Did he really have to see it for himself? Was it simply to satiate his curiosity? Was he bored? Or did he hear of a kingdom untouched by the wars and petty grudges of its neighbors, keeping its peace and neutrality for a century and take it as a challenge? Whatever it was, when Technoblade stood in the shadow of a gilded castle, watching its flags flutter lazily in the summer breeze, he felt a flicker of once familiar emotion stir in his heart.
Hold on a minute, something really important. Apparently I'm quiet, so you told me I'm quiet. Am I quiet? Am I quiet? I need to...
You're
Am I
not
quiet?
quiet. You're not
Stream-
quiet.
Stream-
You're not
stream, I'm
quiet.
Chat, am I quiet? Am I too quiet? Am I too
You're
quiet?
not quiet. You're not
Hi.
quiet.
No, Cora said I'm quiet. I'll try it. I'll said I'm quiet.
Ciao,
Same
No,
Quiet.
you're not. Oh my god.
No, you guys
Let's
shut the
go on
fuck up.
stream.
In the stream I'm quiet. But I can't be louder, it's
Oh,
fucking...
you are quiet on the stream.
I'll be
Okay.
louder, like, in general, but I can't be that loud. It's 2:15 in the morning.
Just mute your mic.
Just inhale it. No, Kai. No.
Oh,
Fuck,
yeah.
boost my
Kai
mic. Hold
Ward,
on.
Kai
What can I
Ward.
do? Wait, hold on. You know, I'm too lazy. Can't be bothered. Giving up.
Turn him
Kai
up.
Ward King.
Una, do you have Kai at full volume on Discord?
Let me see.
Turn me all the way up right now.
Okay, I
Turn up.
turned you up some. Test. Say something. Say something, bro.
Dude. Kai.
please.
Kai.
Bruh, I hate
Huh?
Kai.
What? Huh? Huh?
Say something.
Oh fuck, yeah, right, yeah. Oh,
You know what? I turned you up like 50%. I think that's good enough.
alright, I'll take that. I don't know, Cora seems to want me louder.
Who's being Wilbur?
I'm
think
being
that's
Wilbur.
Sun.
I
think
called
Sun
it.
is
I
being-
called it.
Yep, Sun is
Okay,
being
I
Wilbur.
didn't know. My bad.
Does
My bad.
anyone want to be a guard, by the way?
I'll be
Somebody-
the guard. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you want to be the guard, I'll be. I don't know.
Why do we
No,
have a...
it's
Okay. Fucking...
Oh my god.
Who's
No,
you?
I'm giving up with that sentence.
No, say it.
What?
No, I was gonna say we have a Scottish techno and American fucking Wilbur. Like,
American Tommy
and an American Tommy. This is fucking stupid. You're all
or
dumb.
Mexican Tommy.
I'm white. I'm white.
We are all Caucasian.
We have
With
privilege now,
privilege.
Maple.
Oh my god, I'm about to start walking down the streets.
Suna, I'm not following you. Not fucking following you on Twitch.
What a loser.
What the fuck?
Fuck you, I'm unfollowing now.
What the fuck?
Oh, Kai.
Unfollowed.
Yeah, you,
Follow me
I
on
mean,
Twitch.
No, I didn't.
Okay,
Sorry, I
I'm
had to ask you
continuing
twice.
now. I'm continuing
Alright.
now.
Poggers.
Where was I? Whatever it was, when Techno stood under the shadow of a gilded castle watching its flags flutter lazily in the summer breeze, he felt a flicker of a once familiar emotion stir in his heart. There was something about the cobblestone walls and towers rising towards the sky that reminded him of a different place, somewhere cold and far away.
Hello, stranger.
One of the guards at the gates called out.
You sightseeing?
Technoblade paused at the man's cheerful tone. Most of the guards that caught sight of Techno's sword and blood-red cape were quick to draw their weapons, but aside from the spears that seemed to be more decorative than threatening, the guards at the gates didn't seem to be on guard at all. Hubris, the voices said. This is a kingdom of hubris.
What the fuck does hubris mean? Hold on, I gotta Google hubris.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Please.
Sense
I
of
think that
pride
was a
or
good idea.
self-confidence. Alright, okay. But you knew bringing me was a good idea or a bad idea?
Why
Just
did
do
we
your
think
part, bro.
green
Do your
pie
part.
was a good
This is
idea?
funny. I'm
Just because everyone
the
thinks Ty's sexy.
I'm so funny, he says.
listen. At least like 2 of the people in chat are 2 people that I brought here, right? That's like almost 20% of your viewership.
He's giving you fame. And
Oh my
you,
god,
you're
no,
being
give me your part,
ungrateful.
All
dude.
right, okay,
You decline it?
2 people just left. That could have been those 2 people.
Oh my gosh. Please,
It's
just do
okay.
your part. They're probably leaving because you won't read the actual text.
Shit, right, yeah. Hold on, I need to take off my hoodie. It's really warm.
Oh my god.
I can't hear you guys right now. The earphones
You
are
need
off.
somewhere to put it. Oh, it's fine.
Fuck. Cora, do you care about Passerine? That's so cool. I had no idea you gave a shit about any of the Dream SMP stuff. That's
It's because
interesting.
Cora's
I don't
so
know.
cool.
I guess that makes
I don't know
sense.
who
That
Cora
does
is.
seems like something I guess you'd kind of be into. All right, there's 8 people here now. You went from 11 to 8. I don't know who to blame
Look
for this.
what you did, Ty.
You, please, just read it.
All right. Perhaps.
Technodrot indulging the guard.
Oh, for fuck. Although, I suppose I'm more curious about the inside rather than the outside. That's.
Why didn't you just say so?
The guard
Technoblade's a
beckoned
personality, man.
Techno forwards.
What? What? I don't know. The castle's always open for tourists. Just come in. Come right in. Fuck.
That was how Techno found himself walking leisurely down the halls of a castle that, under normal circumstances, he would have been storming, blades drawn. The guards did draw the line at his weaponry, and made him discard his swords at the door, as if Technoblade needed more than his hands, and sometimes not even those, to wreak havoc. The castle's lackness and security was disproportional to the opulence within. Lush carpets softened Techno's footsteps, elegant tapestries decorated the walls, flowers bloomed from vases as tall as him, and oil paintings in gilded frames, paintings of solemn landscapes, of wild animals roaming cultivated garden, of a dark-haired boy astride a white horse, a hint of a smile in the corner of his mouth, and of the king. Technoblade stopped under the painting, nestled between vases of irises. Oh, he thought. That's why. It wasn't hubris making this kingdom think that they were protected from everything. It was their king. Rendered in paint and shadow, he looked just as Technoblade remembered, the years leaving no mark on his immortal face. He was standing behind a modest throne, his hand laid gently on the shoulder of a dark-haired woman that must be his queen. In the queen's arms were a golden-haired toddler sleeping peacefully. On the floor by her feet, with legs crossed under him, was another child, older, with a gold circlet nestled in his brown curls. Guess who this is?
Hey! Well, be excited to say Wilbur, okay? Leave me alone.
You got cut off, and all I heard in the beginning was,
Wilby!
A child's shrill voice rang down the hall. Technoblade's hand itched instinctively for his sword as he turned from the painting and found himself facing the very same boy from the painting. The prince. He was tall, a lean thing, his face still holding the faint traces of boyhood. He couldn't have been more than 14, and the painting had been grinning, forever immortalized in the light. But here he was staring, his dark eyes unnaturally focused, as if Techno was a particularly interesting book he was quickly picking apart in his head. Techno had seen that expression many times in the faces of wise generals looking over battlefield arrangements. Now this one, I believe, is Wilbur. Hello, the prince said cautiously. Technoblade found himself raising his hand in a small wave.
Oh, this is it. Hello, like that. That's got to be it, right? That's got to be how he does it. He's doing it like that, right?
Probably.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
Okay, now it's Tommy.
Go.
Wilby, wait for me!
The voice called again, closer this time, and heralding the appearance of another child around the bend of the hallway. By his lavish attire and the small army of servants following fretfully after him, this could only be the younger prince, barely more than a babe in the painting, but now a rather loud 6-year-old.
Oh, like baby, not pedophilia,
Yes.
right?
Hi, please.
Just making sure. Don't want you to get TOS, and I'm looking out for you.
Anyways,
the
So loud.
The younger prince marched purposely towards his older brother, Wilby, and clung decidedly to his side as they both stared up at Techno.
Who are you?
The small prince said in what must have been intended to be a threatening tone, but he only sounded like he really was, a child.
Feather.
I thought you said a feather,
A feather.
said Techno, unsure of what he was meant to say now.
That is just like, huh? Oh fuck.
Have you come to?
Yep.
Oh my god, have you come to have an audience with our father? The older prince asked in a decidedly more level tone.
You can't.
The younger prince snapped at once, tightening his hold on his older brother's shirt front.
Dad promised today was our day with him, so you can't. So you can just leave now. Thank you.
Fucking brat.
Tommy, calm yourself.
Say that one
But
more time.
Wilbur, Dad said.
No. What the fuck?
I know what father said, Tommy, the older prince. Wilbur then, not Wilby. Gods know what Techno would have said and done if the man had truly named his son Wilby, was staring at Techno like a vulture waiting for a dying animal to drop. So, visitor, what is your business here? Kai?
Yeah.
If you
Oh.
actually.
I have no business.
Technoblade said.
Right. Yep. I'm visiting, sightseeing. I'm a traveler.
First you are a visitor,
unrelated.
and now you are a traveler. A smile tugged at the prince's lips. This exchange would be much easier if we knew your name. Technoblade glanced at the servants lining the hall behind the princes, clearly in earshot but dutifully maintaining the illusion of privacy. But if he knew their father at all, he knew that most of those standing guard around his sons would be lethal killers. He just hadn't anticipated the arrival of a god. Ugh, I had a burp moment. Ugh, I tasted something gross. Continuing, what would they do if they heard his name? Would any of them recognize it? Would they know what it meant to have him stand before their young princes? How long would they last against him? But as he looked down at the two brothers, he found them small. He could crush them under the heel of his boot like ants. But instead, Technoblade found himself saying, Kai?
Hi.
Kai.
Hi.
Anyways, this next
Fuck,
part...
I muted. I started singing the Slim Shady song, but I was muted, so I was going. My name is. My name is. My
Okay,
name
shut
like that,
up!
and then, but it didn't go through.
The next part's Filza.
Technoblade?
Technoblade lifted his eyes from the young princes and found himself staring at their father.
What's poppin'?
Shut the fuck up.
Fuck off, Kai. Oh my god.
Do you want me to say it? Do you want to? Okay.
Yes.
Elsa? Question mark.
Filza stood at the end of the hallway, undoubtedly following the familiar cadence of his son's voices. He glanced at them now, still standing before Technoblade like an unwitting sheep waiting for slaughter. But Filza's eyes showed no fear. Instead, when he looked back at Techno, he only smiled, his face softening with a familiar relief, the expression of a man after a long, hard-fought war seeing peace on the horizon at last.
Old friend.
Said Filza.
It's nice to see you again.
Traitor, the voices clamored. Traitor, traitor, traitor! Father! Wilbur's voice brought them back to reality. This was a different castle, a different time. Do you know this stranger?
Well, obviously, Wilbur.
Tommy rolled his eyes.
Dad just said his name, didn't he? Technoblade? That's a dumb name.
Tommy.
Filza reprimanded, with no real heat behind his words. He drew closer to them, his steps quiet and even. The servants that had followed the two boys bowed in hard word to their liege, despite him wearing no crown. In fact, he looked just as much of a traveler as Techno was, dressed in simple trousers and a shirt, perfect for blending in, perfect for a man on the run.
It's been a long time.
Filza said when he reached them, putting a gentle hand on the top of Tommy's blonde head. Ugh. The boy arched towards the touch like a sunflower reaching towards the sun. Technoblade didn't know if the move was calculated or a simple act of affection, or, knowing Filza, both.
How have you been?
How have I been? How have I been? How have I been? How have I
Techno
been?
repeated
How have I been?
numbly,
How have I
feeling
been?
a
How have I
familiar
been?
cheek
How have I been?
creep.
How have I been?
Chill! Creep into his bones! Jesus Christ!
Fell. I.
Actually,
Phil's interrupted before kneeling to look his boys in the eyes.
Wilbur, take your brother out to the garden for a bit, yeah?
Wilbur pouted, for once looking like a boy his age. But you said...
I know what I promised, and I keep my promises, don't I?
Philza ruffled Wilbur's hair and then Tommy's.
I'll join you in a moment. I just need to have a talk with Technoblade here.
Wilbur stared at his father for a long moment, as if weighing the truth of his words, before nodding. He took his brother's hand in his and began leading him away. Come on, Tommy, he said. Let's play outside.
Technoblade's still a dumb man.
Tommy muttered as they passed him, closely followed by their servants. Wilbur met Technoblade's eyes just for a moment before they were gone, down the hall, out of sight, leaving Technoblade alone with the king. Technoblade turned towards Philza, his old friend, and found the smile wiped clean from his face. Philza gestured down the hall.
Walk with me?
Technoblade could only nod and follow Philza. They were quiet as they walked. Techno remembered the days like these during their time together, long days of companionable... Is that right? Companionable? Silence as they simply existed together. But there was something different this time. There was an edge. Techno could sense Philza sizing him up, tallying his hidden weapons, calculating his improvements. In turn, Techno mapped his escape routes as Philza led him through the halls, then up a sweeping flight of stairs. He did not want to expect violence from Philza, but he hadn't expected to be left behind either. They reached a balcony overlooking the garden, where most of the flowers indoors undoubtedly came from. Wisteria and ivy grew around marble pillars, rose bushes and dandelions and carnations bloomed en masse at the foot of the elaborate stone statues. At the center of the garden was a weeping willow, its branches providing shade for the two boys chasing each other in the grass. Their laughter echoed through the glade, reaching even Techno and their father high on the balcony. For a while, the two of them just watched the two princes. Wilbur was obviously faster than Tommy, but he slowed his pace just enough for his little brother to have fun chasing his heels.
They're a handful.
Phil's soft tone turned Techno's attention away from the princes. The king was almost smiling, but the hard glint in his eyes didn't disappear.
Wilbur was a quieter before Tommy was born. A little bookworm. Holed up in his room all day. But I have a feeling you didn't drop by for silly stories like that.
Philza turned towards Techno.
So, go ahead. Let me have it.
Techno didn't know what he was meant to feel. He didn't know what he was meant to say. For years, he'd put Philza out of his mind, determined to forget that interlude of peace. He'd let the memories fester like untreated wounds, and now he thought he'd rather die of the affection than acknowledge out loud that it was real, that the pain was there at all.
I didn't mean to drop by.
Techno said eventually.
I didn't know this place was yours. I can leave if you...
No,
Philza shook his head.
don't leave. Truth be told, this reunion was inevitable, or I hoped it was.
How long you, be here?
Philza considered.
How long has this kingdom been standing?
Oh, yeah, Fel, that's...
I know. People like us aren't meant to stay in one place for too long.
Philza sighed and turned back towards the horizon.
Why the fuck did my monitor just turn off?
It sounds like a personal problem.
I can't read the fucking script, bitch.
I'll just tell you the words and then you just repeat them.
No.
Yeah, no, let's do that. Let's do that.
Do we need to take a pause for you to fix it?
No, it's fine. Just keep going.
I'm gonna whisper them to you so no one else can hear.
Phil's aside and turned back towards the horizon. He leaned his arms against the wrought iron.
Fixed.
Thank you. The wrought iron railings and looked out on the land beyond, the slope of distant mountains, a kingdom that stretched on and on, unaware that their immortal king was all that stood between them and destruction.
I found a small town while I was traveling. Made it something more. I told myself I would leave after a year. And then it became 2 years, 3 years, a decade. I did leave eventually, before they figured out why their town mayor never aged. But then I found out the moment I left.
Phil's expression turned cold.
They were annihilated. I came back and everything, everyone, had been burnt to the ground. It was just ashes, everything I built. There were survivors, of course, and they blamed their leader for leaving. Of course, as they should. So I stayed. I built it back up again, from a small, decimated town to what you see today. As far as the people know, leadership has been passed on from one king to another who looks vaguely like him. I'm sure the eldest of them have their rumors, but is it really so bad to be known?
Technoblade didn't realize until Philza turned back to look at him that he expected an answer to his question. But all Technoblade could say was,
Is that why you left me behind?
Techno.
Oh wait, fuck, hold on. That's me, yeah. I understand you had the place you love was in trouble, so you came back, but I don't. Why didn't you take me? Sad face.
here it was, at last. Catharsis, or something close to it.
Oh, I've gotta fucking Google this fucking
Oh my god!
Dictionary time with Kai.
process of releasing and thereby providing relief from strong or repressed
I have dropped
emotions.
down to 4 viewers, Kai.
Oops.
So you can say the next lines, Kai?
Okay?
Oh fuck, yeah, right, shit, Dex. I would have hunted them down with you, Phil, so the people who did that to your town, I would have given you your vengeance on a why silver platter? Fuck that, golden platter. I would have given you the world. Yeah, we're rich.
Philza didn't
Why?
look guilty. He just looked tired.
I didn't hunt them down, though.
Okay?
Fuck. No, that's not me.
Yeah, you literally just say what?
Oh, what?
Say what?
What?
The
Oh,
people
what?
who burned. Oop. The people who burned down my town. I didn't hunt them down, as much as I wanted to. They were long gone by the time I arrived, and at that moment, my people needed a leader, not a hunter. And I didn't bring you because
Because I don't know when to be either.
They stood there, letting the words settle in the silence that stretched taut and tauter like a rope around Technoblade's neck. Deny it, he wanted to shout. Tell me I'm wrong. Philza did not.
Oh, I don't need to hear this from. I should take this out of my mouth. I don't need to hear this from you.
Technoblade spat. A well of old hurt and anger, once dried up, began to fill anew.
Do your sons even know what you are? Who you are? The angel. Oh fuck. The angel of death, domesticated like a fucking puppy. What a fuck. Gotta fucking Google this word. Hold on.
What a farce.
Comic. A comic dramatic work using buffoonery and horseplay, and typically
Philza
including
stiffened.
rude characterization.
you know not of
for
which
the
you
grossly
speak.
improbable situations. Example.
Kaya,
he
it's your
took the
turn.
backwoods in I'm
Time,
reading.
please.
He
Time,
toured the
please.
backwoods in
Please.
second rate. Alright, it makes sense to me now. I saw you tear a man apart with your bare hands. Now you're telling me about leadership, about kindness.
I said nothing of kindness. If I had completely renounced my ways, my kingdom would not be what it is today. Domesticated dogs still bite.
Philza stepped towards him until they were eye to eye.
Yeah, but like not as much.
Oof, I guess.
Despite the accusations Techno hurled at him, despite their bloody history, Techno had never truly seen Philza angry. But he had a feeling if he kept running down this road head first, he might find himself knowing the full extent of his old friend's wrath. Philza's eyes were as hard as flint, one spark away from combustion. Technoblade glanced down at the garden. Phil followed his gaze until they were both staring back at the two boys below, who'd ceased their playing to wonder at their father and his stranger. They couldn't have heard a thing of what Philza or Techno said, but Wilbur stood with his head cocked inquisitively to the side, as if he were turning over the words.
Avi went
It's
to
Tommy.
dinner. Yeah, Avi went to eat dinner, so I'm just gonna.
Oh, shit. Tommy shouted.
Are you almost finished? Almost.
Philza called back.
I'll be right down, kids.
Tommy elbowed Wilbur and said something that made the other boy throw his head back in laughter. Then the two of them took off, back to their games, back to their honeyed childhood. When Technoblade turned to Phil again, the king's expression had turned considerably softer. Techno could live another 1,000 years and still never understand how easily Philza could hide his fury.
I wasn't trying to settle down.
Philza said, quietly now, as if he were imploring a child to stop a tantrum. His eyes were still on his sons below.
I was content, for a while, to watch the kingdom grow. But these mortals and their short, pitiful lives, they draw you in, Technoblade. I used to think they were moths drawn to flame, doomed to catch fire for the most inconsequential things. We've seen their wars, you and I. We've fought them. We both know the things they do to each other.
Philza took hold of the balcony railings as if it was the only thing keeping him from floating away.
But over the years, I've also learned of the things they do for each other.
Oy.
Their lives will always... Oh,
I bumped my elbow. Continue.
I'm sorry. Their lives will always be 1 year, 1 week, 1 day short. But it doesn't seem to matter much to them. They live anyway. They love anyway. Forgive an old god for wanting a piece of that for himself.
A late morning breeze passed through, carrying with it the scent of flowers and the shredded remains of Techno's anguish. The fury was still there, and the feeling of betrayal so grand it might never be bridged, but the exhaustion had begun to settle in. Techno was used to quick brawls and long hunts, but verbal allocations was not something he'd ever trained for, mostly because he had not cared to speak to anyone that mattered since forever, perhaps. And maybe Philza had been tired, too, of their life before. Always fighting, never safe. And although Techno thought it was only a matter of time before this game of peace was over, he thought maybe he could start to understand why Phil took the chance. It was a foolish move, and Technoblade would scoff at it for the rest of their immortal lives, but it would not be the worst choice anyone had ever made. Technoblade had seen the worst, and it was barely a drop in the ocean of bad decisions. Still, it was stupid. One look at Philza and Technoblade realized he must know it too. Kai.
Right, yup, I know. Are they like you? Question mark.
Techno asked at last, unsure of what the answer he was waiting for.
Your boys?
Philza sighed.
Question mark.
Shut up.
I would not wish my fate on my worst enemy, least of all my own children.
His hand tightened around the railings.
They take after their mother. Mother?
Mother.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna leave and cry. They take after their mother. Mortal. Good. In all ways. I thank every god that has ever existed for that.
Sometimes.
Techno prompted when the silence stretched too long. Philza's jaw clenched.
It's Wilbur. He speaks of voices.
Voices?
Philza met Techno's eyes. A conversation from lifetimes ago replayed in Techno's mind. A moment of vulnerability in a castle not so different from this one, where he had spilled his secrets as easily as he spilled blood. The voices, Phil. They demand blood. There was a world's worth of agony in Philza's stare, a burden only understood by a parent fearing for a child.
I'm glad he is not like me.
Philza said.
But sometimes I fear he is growing more and more like you.
Techno's breath hitched in his throat. He resisted the urge to look down again. Shut up! And searched the grass for a boy with the ancient eyes. The voices began to sing. Not alone, they said. Not alone, not alone.
No.
Techno said, curling his hands into fists and digging his nails into flesh until they drew blood, his daily penance.
He is but a child.
Techno paused. What was he talking about? What did it matter what Phil Wilbur was? That was not... What was this sudden ache in his chest? Something telling of a far deeper wound, an older affliction. He did not know this boy. He should not care, but he did not care. But then Philza seized him by the wrist as if he knew Techno was about to take off running, forced him to meet his tortured gaze.
That is why I hoped you would come. Truth be told, I was very close to looking for you myself. I cannot do this by myself, Technoblade, as much as I want to. You're the only one.
Right? Yep. Silence. That means it's me. Fuck. Where am I? Shit. Thanks. I zoned out.
You
was
want my
missing
help?
someone. Yep. I know where that is. All right. Yep. You want my help?
Techno said dully.
My help. After you abandoned me, after you denounced. Fucking mark.
Denounced my ways and called me a monster.
No, hold on. I got denounced my ways and called me a monster.
Philza flinched.
I would never call you that, my friend.
Friend. The word that Technoblade had only truly understood in the days of snow and sweet tea.
Fuck. I don't owe you anything.
Technoblade said
fuck.
quietly.
I don't owe you anything.
Quietly does not mean whispering.
I don't owe that child. No, wait. Yeah, I don't owe that child anything.
I know.
And I have better things to do with my day.
I'm gonna beat you with a stick.
I know.
After all you did, I shouldn't even be listening. I should just leave. I'm not sure what I should be doing anymore, so I done both.
I know, Techno. I know.
And then Philza did something Technoblade would never, in 100 or 1,000,000 years, have expected him to do. He kneeled. Philza, once emperor, presently king, angel of death, kneeled before Technoblade, grasping pathetically at his cloak. His golden hair bowed. The voices were chorused of distrust and disdain. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. And when Philza spoke again, his voice wavered.
I am sorry, truly, for leaving. But I am asking you, begging you, to do this for me, for my son, for the friendship that we once shared, Techno. Please, please. You do not know how much time the gods will give us.
What will you have me do?
Techno demanded, his own voice fraying at the edges.
What do you expect from me, Phil? Nothing sexual.
What?
God.
Philza looked at him, his face a study in agony.
Stay. Stay and help. As much as you can. And together, maybe we can help you as well.
The voices paused, just for a moment, just for a breath, as they all considered the weight of Philza's words. And God sat silent, however brief, however fleeting. It was the sweetest thing Technoblade had ever heard. We can help you. What did that mean exactly? What would that entail? Technoblade didn't know, didn't care. He'd come in here in search of a kingdom of peace, and he'd found it. Forgive an old god for wanting a piece of that for himself, Philza had said. And what was peace if not the silence? Was that not freedom at last? So as the voices began to chant anew, an immortal hunter offered an immortal king his hand. The sun climbed higher towards the heart of the sky as Technoblade pulled Philza to his feet, and they were on equal ground once more. He had no idea what he was doing, but there was no true alternative. So Technoblade met his old friend's gaze and said... Technoblade met his old friend's gaze and said...
Kai.
Is he on mute again?
Yeah, he is.
He's on... Kai, you're on mute.
Oh fuck, so I said it. Alright, you and me, one more time, like the Hamilton song.
One more time.
Yeah, it's
Relax,
called
have
One
a
Last
drink
Time.
with
It's not
me.
the same ones.
One last time.
Britney song.
Okay, that was the end of the first
It's a good
chapter.
song.
How are we feeling?
No, it's hello before you proceed. Wait, no,
Nice.
hello, exclamation mark before you proceed, comma. I would just like to note that the portrayal of the voices in this fic is not meant at all to parallel real dash life mental issues, exclamation mark. I would like everyone to keep this in mind, period. Be respectful, comma, and be kind, period. Thank you, colon, colon, right parentheses. I forgot which one it would be. But
I almost choked.
I just want everyone to know the notes.
How long was Avi gone, bro?
I don't know. Hold on, let me check them. Fucking,
Ooh.
like 20 minutes almost. It's been like 15, 16 minutes right now.
Maybe
Yeah, like
we'll just summarize when she comes back. You guys ready for the next chapter? Anything to say before we continue?
Oh, wait, no,
Both?
hold
I don't
on. I
know.
want to address this. Cora said, "Kai, your grasp of the English language is saddening." I just want to be clear. It's a bet. All right, I'm not really this dumb, as far as all of you know.
He's just helping you guys understand these words.
Yeah, because they're really difficult words. I know what they mean. I just want to make sure you know what they mean.
Yeah, English class. It's
He's the big brain, the big brain.
Yeah,
Unless you know what
it's
okay,
me.
okay, Kai, if you are so big brain, please tell me the definition of flossinophililification.
all I heard was MILFs. That is your answer, Your Honor.
Can 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 you spell that? Can you spell that out?
Flossinophililification. I think it's
Spelling
FLOCCI.
bee.
Flossinophililification.
All right, my result didn't come up with anything. I was going to cheat, but I couldn't find anything, so I gave up.
I give up. Anyways, I'm gonna start then. Very cool. Trigger warnings, panic
Oh, fuck,
attacks,
hold on, I've got it.
and death.
Eh.
And me.
Okay.
Oh, there's a summary. You look a lot at. Wait, do we do this part?
No, I'm skipping the
No?
summary because why would we need a summary when we're just gonna read it?
Oh, fuck, yeah, it's a summary of this chapter, huh?
Yes.
Shit.
Wilbur
Alright.
did not know what to make of the visitor, the traveler, whatever he was. Father had come down to the garden with him, and Wilbur could tell he was sad. He didn't know if the visitor had been the cause or if something else, someone else.
A formal introduction is in order.
Father had told Wilbur and Tommy.
This is Technoblade, an old friend who'll be tutoring you for a while, Wilbur.
Wilbur had stared up at the man, seeing him in the soft morning light at last. Technoblade. Tommy was right. It was a pretty dumb name, and one Wilbur had heard before, though he wasn't sure where. He was tall and lean, and most likely a few years older than Wilbur. He was dressed like him, too, with poofy sleeves that Tommy always said made him look like an old man. An emerald earring hung from Technoblade's left ear, similar to the one that Father wore on a golden chain around his neck, tucked secretly under his dress shirt. Was he some sort of royalty too, then? Some foreign prince or a distant cousin that Father never bothered to tell Wilbur about? Father kept many secrets. This may just be one of a million. Technoblade had taken one look at Wilbur, nodded, and said,
We'll start at dawn.
before leaving them. Wilbur had stared after him, perplexed. What? Father had struggled to keep a smile off his face.
That's techno for you.
Now they were sitting in the dining hall. To each their own thoughts, except Tommy, whose thoughts must always come out of his mouth, regardless of who was or who wasn't listening.
And Wilbur tricked me, but I got up very quickly. You saw that, didn't you, Dad? Dad, didn't you? I saw.
Father said distractedly. He was staring down at his half-eaten plate as if it held the secrets of the universe. Wilbur assumed he was only doing it so he wouldn't be staring at Mother's empty seat. She'd been taking more and more of her meals in her bedroom. Tommy hadn't noticed yet, but Wilbur did. Wilbur always did.
That's Tommy, right?
Yeah, that's Tommy.
Okay. And this techno fellow, he's a bit of an odd one, isn't he? Will he be training me too? Will I have to wake up at dawn like Wilbur?
Wilbur grimaced. Whatever.
Yeah, you got it.
Please don't remind me, Tommy. Tommy stuck his tongue out at him from across the table.
It's not like you have any plans. I'm sure you'll just be staying up reading again.
He gestured dramatically to himself.
I, for one, would love to be under the tutelage of Master Technoblade, stupid as his name may be.
The two of them turned to their father, one with a starry-eyed expectation, the other with morbid curiosity. Father sighed fondly before ruffling Tommy's hair.
Sorry, little bud. Maybe we can find someone else for you. I'm sure the captain would be willing to, but I don't want the blade.
I want the Blade.
Oh, but I want the blade. Oh, same thing.
Tommy whined. Wilbur snorted. Yeah, as if you could wake up early enough. You'll still be in bed by noon. I can see it now. Father gave Wilbur a cheeky grin he only reserved for his eldest son.
Tell you what, Tommy. If you can wake up with Wilbur, then you can watch him train with Techno. Truly?
Tommy kicked back from the table, nearly upsetting Father's glass of wine.
Good night then. Early to bed, early to the prize, as they always say.
Who says that? Wilbur said, but Tommy had already gone off, leaving Wilbur with their father and the silence. For a while, the only sound were utensils scraping against plates and Wilbur's heartbeat in his ears. He would never admit it to Tommy or anyone, but his relationship with his father was always better with his brother around. It wasn't that Wilbur didn't love his father or that he thought his father didn't love him. Wilbur couldn't remember it happening, but somewhere along the way of studying warfare and politics, of staring up at the throne that would one day be his, of learning how to be a prince, he'd also forgotten how to be a son. And sometimes, when Father thought he couldn't see, Father would look at him with a bottomless grief.
Guys, I'm gonna go pass a bit back.
Bottomless grief, like he was mourning something already lost. It should be Tommy, Wilbur had thought. Sunny Tommy, who managed to charm everyone he met in spite of, or perhaps because of, his loud disposition. Not him. Not when Father looked at him like that. Wilbur swallowed the last of his dinner and was set to go, if not for his father speaking once more.
Wilbur?
Yes, Father? Father leaned against his hand as he considered Wilbur.
Do you want me to be there for you tomorrow?
Wilbur scoffed half-heartedly. I'm not a child, Father.
Of course.
Father said.
But Technoblade is still a stranger to you.
Wilbur pursed his lips as he thought about his father's words. Do you trust him? That's me.
Yeah, I don't know why I said it. Okay. Yes.
Father replied at once. Wilbur nodded. Then I trust him. Father stared at him for a long minute, then nodded. There was nothing else to say, it seemed, and so Wilbur left, leaving his father to the quiet. Tommy's door was firmly shut by the time Wilbur arrived at their sleeping quarters. Wilbur's own door stood ajar, waiting. Moonlight spilled from the arched windows, painting everything in silver. The bed littered with half-finished books, and the desk bearing scars from Wilbur's manifold frustrations and writing music for the guitar that sat discarded on the floor. Mother had given him that guitar for his 10th birthday. He used to play lullabies or spooky songs in his mood for older brother mischief for Tommy, before Tommy decided he was a big man and moved across the bedroom across the hall. His body felt heavy with thoughts. Technoblade, the boy who looked not much older than him, and now tasks at tutoring him at what? Father had...
How many lines have I missed?
None of them. We haven't gotten to you yet.
Fuck yeah.
What? Father had not been forthcoming with that, amongst other things. With a sigh, Wilbur grabbed the guitar from the floor and dragged it with him to the window. As he plucked idly at the strings, he gazed at the horizon beyond the glass, the sprawling lawns of the castle ending in the foreboding gates, and then after that his kingdom, his birthright. He played a single discordant chord. Nothing had come easily to him recently. Music, literature, conversations, everything, all at once, had become taxing. Even laughing with his brother felt like a chore. Wilbur's fingers stilled on what was undoubtedly going to be another bad note. Something was moving, something on the lawn. He squinted at the figure until it came into sharper focus. Technoblade? Wilbur pressed his face closer to the glass, just to make sure his eyes had not deceived him. There were many people in the kingdom with pink hair, but perhaps fewer who also moved with the lethal grace of a python. Techno walked across the lawn and disappeared past the gates without a glance back. It wasn't until his breath fogged up the window completely that Wilbur realized he was hyperventilating. He pulled away from the glass and stumbled over his guitar on the way back to his bed. He pulled the covers over himself as the darkness would dampen his thoughts. Where is he going? Followed by, will he come back? Will he come back? Will he come back? Will he... This is your line.
You're late.
Wilbur blinked in the dim sunlight barely breaking through the horizon. What? He blinked some more until he finally recognized his surroundings. The smooth marble floor, the four columns sculpted like gods bearing up the flat roof, ivy falling over the roof's edge like a waterfall, curtaining them off into the rest of the garden. This was a training pavilion, Father's personal training area, where he attempted to teach Wilbur fencing before it became clear that weaponry was not to be in Wilbur's forte.
It's all right, son.
Father had said, carefully tending to the cut on Wilbur's leg from his own rapier. What is that background noise?
I'm so sorry. I literally got kicked out of the bathroom. I'm gonna mute myself soon. Kings don't really need to know how to fight. That's what the armies are for.
Father had sounded angry as he said all this, but Wilbur somehow knew it wasn't because of him. But you know how, Wilbur had pouted, dutifully trying to hold back tears as Father applied stinging herbs to his wound. Not wound,
Well?
Jesus, said Father.
That's different.
Different how?
Just different.
Father had finished tying the bandages around Wilbur's leg and smiled at him.
I'll tell you when you're older.
He never had. But it wasn't Father standing before Wilbur today,
Well,
Technoblade said, gesturing to the heavy chest in the corner.
burning daylight here, little prince. Hurry up.
Wilbur blinked again. Sorry, but how did I... Technoblade stared at him quietly as they both waited for Wilbur to finish his sentence. His eyes are red, Wilbur noted distantly, even as he struggled to remember anything else. He cannot recall falling asleep or waking up or walking down to meet his new tutor for their first lesson.
Well,
Technoblade prodded. Wilbur shook his head. Nothing. What are we, learning today? Technoblade cocked his head to the side, unimpressed.
cock.
Shut the fuck up. His hair had been pulled into a braid so tight that it hurt Wilbur's scalp by proxy.
Belza said you were crap at fencing.
Wilbur grimaced
Grimace.
as he walked over to the chest, kneeling to filter through its contents. That's one way of saying it. He picked up one of the swords and turned to Technoblade, who apparently brought his own weapon, a wicked-looking broadsword with a ruby-encrusted hilt. I'm a bit better at long-range weapons, if you were wondering.
I wasn't.
Technoblade
Get
snorted.
in the possession. Haha. Fuck you.
Shut the fuck. Wilbur did.
Oh, that's not correct.
Wilbur sighed. I told you. Technoblade walked closer to Wilbur until they were eye to eye. Wilbur was a few inches taller than him, he realized, at least until Technoblade knocked him flat on his back with a sudden blow to the stomach. The air left Wilbur's lungs in a rush. He blinked lazily at the ceiling for a moment before the indignation set in. He leaned himself against his elbows and glared at his tutor, who was looking more and more unimpressed.
You could have withstood that if you were in the right possession.
Technoblade drawled. You could have
Yeah.
warned me, Wilbur spat, clambering to his feet.
Oh, is that how a fight goes, your highness?
Technoblade mocked.
Alright then, if it pleases you, your princeliness, I shall be striking your shoulder with the flat of my blade next.
What? Quicker than a breath, Technoblade did just that. Wilbur landed on his side, his own weapon flying
yeah,
out
I
of his
know.
hands. Technoblade laughed with no real warmth.
Wait, fuck, this is me again. Alright, I even warned you that time when I'm so sad. Hold on. Oh, yeah. I even warned you that time. I still knocked you over. God, you're pathetic.
Fuck up.
I'm bored. I'm mixing it up.
Wilbur wanted to say, I'm calling my father, but caught himself before he could give that ammunition to the smug bastard. Instead, he got shakily to his feet, his entire body smarting from the impact of the floor, and picked up his rapier from the ground. He got into position again. Technoblade raised one eyebrow. This would go faster if you told me what's wrong with it, Wilbur grumbled.
Let's go even faster if you don't fumble your basics.
Technoblade retorted. Shut up!
Strong demands from a boy who can't even get his left foot placed properly.
Wilbur considered his words. He moved his left foot inch by inch, watching Technoblade until the man finally gave a curt nod. Wilbur sighed. See, that was it. Oh my gods! Wilbur barely had time to throw up his rapier before Technoblade crashed his own sword against him. Steel hissed. Kai, you're literally so loud with your typing.
Sorry, blame Meal. That's right. She's watching. Fuck you, Meal. That's what you get for no. Wait, keep messaging me. I'll just mute when I type.
Okay.
Anyways,
Steel hissed. Wilbur's knees buckled under Technoblade's surprising strength. It felt like having an entire house collapse on him, and if he fell, he'd be crushed. Technoblade fell back, leaving Wilbur with his heart hammering in his chest. What was that? Wilbur demanded. You could have killed me that time.
Oh shit. I could have killed you multiple times since you fought. This is Mario.
This is
I'm
just
not being
racist.
racist.
This is racist.
No, I'm Mario. Yeehaw.
Mario.
No, fuck no. He doesn't
Mario,
say that. He says
yeehaw.
Yahoo.
Yeehaw, Mario.
He says Yahoo. He says Yahoo.
I
He says
will
Yahoo.
beat yourself up for being cancelled.
Oh fuck! All right, why is it fine when I? All right, okay.
Just do an American one.
Hold on. No. Hold on. I could have killed you multiple times since you first walked in here.
Technoblade gestured for him to get into position. Again.
Never let your guard down, Your Highness. Always assume the enemy is planning to strike.
What
Tuesday,
even
yeah.
is the point of this, Wilbur asked. The kingdom has always been at peace for gods know how long. I don't need to risk my neck for a skill that doesn't
I'm
even
Mario,
matter.
yeehaw.
Shut the fuck up. Technoblade considered him for a long moment, the silence between them only broken by the beginnings of a birdsong as the rest of the world finally began to wake. And what will you do when it does matter? Technoblade
What the
asked.
fuck? Hey, what the fuck? Hey, get in line.
I forgot.
bitch.
I forgot.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You're
That's
the
what I
one who
thought.
is an
Alright.
hour late to the recording.
Listen. I was gaming. Hold on. Fuck. Someone give me another accent. How do you do Russian?
What the fuck? Please. I'm sorry.
I literally can't do Russian. All right. I'm just gonna. And what will you do when it does matter? Technoblade at fuck. No, hold on. I'm getting in line. Sorry.
Technoblade asked. It never will. But let's say it will.
Let's say it well.
Technoblade interrupted.
Yeah, fuck you.
I was
Taking a
honestly
step
just
towards
trying
Wilbur,
to
his
like
red
get
eyes
you
never
to
once
read
leaving
it.
the prince's face.
I'm gonna.
No, fuck you. No, you take Technoblade now. I'm
No.
reading everything else.
You're
No,
terrible
no,
at
no,
reading.
you're-
No,
no.
you're terrible at reading.
No. I'm gonna be so good at reading. I'm gonna
You
be so
say
good at
let's
reading that.
say.
Give me a
You
chance.
say let's say. Fine.
say.
Fine. I'll
Alright,
give you a
take
chance.
Technoblade. We're swapping for a bit.
Let's say, hypothetically, that a foreign army attacks this very moment. Your father isn't here to help, nobody's here
Not
to
even
help,
doing a
it's
fucking
just you.
Italian accent.
Do you just stand there and get torn apart by the mob? Will you run like a coward and leave your kingdom to the wolves?
Wilbur flinched.
Are you not doing Wilbur too?
Wow. Am I? Oh fuck. Am I? Shit. That's not. That's that.
Or not
What?
even an army?
Yeah.
Consider this, if you will, just one very smart, very angry person, and they've got your brother.
Technoblade smirked at whatever expression was on Wilbur's face.
That's all it takes, to kill a kingdom. A single person who knows your weak spots. So what will you need to do is get rid of them. The weak spots, I mean. This kingdom has only been penetrable because Philza has long ago gotten rid of every vulnerability. So what happens when you take the throne?
That's not true, Wilbur said quietly, standing in the downpour of Technoblade's words. My father, he does have vulnerabilities. He has my mother and Tommy in it. Me,
But he has the power to protect them.
Technoblade replied.
And you don't. That's the difference.
The sun climbed higher into the sky, painting everything in gold. Through the gaps in the ivy, the warm light shone on Wilbur's skin, warming him from the inside out. He imagined the light seeping into his skin, into his bones, into the cracks of his soul, until he could be made whole again. A boy of sunlight, like Tommy. He wanted the sun to burn away all the tiredness, the sadness, the thoughts. He wanted the sun to burn Technoblade too, with his harsh words made harsher by the truth. Wilbur took a shaky breath, letting the fresh air in and trapping it in his lungs for as long as he could. Then he let it out. He glared at Technoblade, then got into position. Fine, he spat.
He didn't literally spit.
Well, that's what the fucking story says, alright?
No, when a character says something, it says he spat.
No,
It's make with venom, with anger.
Definitely.
I deafened for most of that, so I didn't hear it. Fine, he's fat. Do your
I
worst.
swear to God, that's so gross. I'm gonna kill you. Okay, I'm taking it back. I'm taking it back. I
What the
narrate.
fuck? What the fuck? I was doing so good.
Hey, someone in the chat wants you to do a thick Scottish accent next for Technoblade, okay?
All right, okay.
Keep
For
that in mind,
Technoblade,
keep that in mind.
Okay, no, okay. Thanks, Cora. Fuck, I'm gonna need to. Shit, okay, I'll do it.
Okay, Maple, it's your turn.
Wilby, you look like trash.
Tommy said brightly over a plate of eggs.
Tommy.
Father scolded. This is you,
No.
Technoblade mumbled through a mouthful of meat.
The boy's right, Phil. Welby does look like trash.
Okay, sorry. Wilbur groaned at the remarks, and then groaned some more when the movement made his ribs feel like they were cracking apart. Bruises were already starting to form up and down his sides up and down his arms from the various times Technoblade had knocked him to the floor. He couldn't even reach for his utensils without pain lacing up his side, and so his breakfast remained tantalizingly out of reach right in front of him. Tommy's initial annoyance at sleeping in and missing the blade in action was only matched by his absolute delight at seeing his older brother so battered, and then exceeded his excitement when father invited Technoblade for breakfast to recount how terribly Wilbur had performed. It was to track his progress or some kind of excuse like that, though Wilbur guessed father just wanted to stop Technoblade from disappearing wherever he goes off to, like last night.
Did he cry?
Tommy demanded, practically vibrating off his chair. Technoblade, seated next to him, cut another piece of meat and chewed ponderously before answering.
I don't know how to say almost in a Scot. I fucking almost.
I almost.
No, get the fuck.
Wicked.
Tommy breathed. Father glanced at Wilbur worriedly, taking in his bruises.
Techno, maybe next time you can go easy a bit.
No, Wilbur said hurriedly, wincing when his sore limbs protested. No, I told him not to hold back. Father raised an eyebrow.
I doubt that.
No, really, I need this, Father, Wilbur insisted. His legs felt like lead, and some of his bones were definitely misplaced. But by the end of the 5-hour session, he'd learned where to strike and to where to strike and to kill, where to strike to incapacitate, how to block attacks as much as deal them, how to fight off stronger opponents. Which for you would be all of them, Technoblade had said as he righted the Wilbur script on his rapier.
Let it by bruise a wee bit, Phil.
Technoblade said now, downing a glass of wine.
It's good practice, innit? Good distraction too.
Someone in the chat said, "What you up to, comic?"
Oh wait, fuck, who's that? Oh, hi Dale.
Hold on,
How's
I need to
how's it
refill my
going?
water.
Get the fuck-
Entertain
I'm-
people. Entertain.
I'm not in it. I'm gonna.
But you'd never ask. Play the
alright.
music.
Let- yeah, copyright strike. Let's go. Alright,
That was actually an original. Thank you very much.
Hello, Delmere. We're reading a Dream SMP fan. Alright, 2 people just left as I began that sentence. That's not good.
You're not entertaining the people. How many people are even watching? 2.
Fucking, I don't know. We're reading a Dream SMP fan fiction, and I'm taking the piss a lot. And I don't want to say I'm making it entertaining, but I'm making it different.
Oh, good.
Probably less entertaining, actually, if you come here to. Oh fuck yeah, no, it's not. It's not really Dream SMP. Huh? It's like just fucking. It's just Sleepy Boys.
It's an. I don't even know.
All
Let
right,
me
I
check
just.
the tag.
I wanna just point out, Neil, I'm not taking a piss on stream. I'm taking the piss on stream. Fuck you, Emil. Bitch. Dumbass. Fucking idiot.
You stopped entertaining.
I did. Emil hasn't responded to me. I'm waiting for Emil to respond on me. because of
Ask
the
comic
stream
about
delay.
his third censor. that
Right,
he
okay, you
hides.
can't see that, huh? It says ask
Oh,
comic
I
about
see
his
it.
third nipple that he hides.
I see. I had a friend with a third nipple.
Emil,
I've seen it
Emil,
all.
taking the piss is like a thing. That's I don't know if it's a British thing, but it's for sure a Scottish thing. If you're taking the piss out of someone, you're like annoying them. You're being an asshole. You're insulting them. Don't you dude me? Don't you fucking dude me again? Okay. That's the second time you've duded me in like the last minute. Stop duding me in DMs.
Okay, I'm back.
All right,
Thank
fuck.
God.
Have you been very entertaining?
No, dude. No, yeah, shut up. Hold on. Coda's talking to me. Taking the piss. That's like definitely like a Scottish. I'm googling it. Taking the piss is a Commonwealth informal town. Where the fuck is Commonwealth? Commonwealth is like. Oh, okay, never mind. It's in some states. It's in Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. It can't be in Pennsylvania. That's not true. Fucking meals, not to fucking like. Oh,
Docs.
what's yeah, docs. That's the one I'm looking for. Not to docs meal, but meal is in one of those fucking states, and they had no idea. Oh, never mind. They just messaged me saying, "Listen, maybe I've said it." So it's like it's also an American thing, but like only in the Commonwealth American states, I guess.
No,
Commonwealth. That should have been
I
Commonwealth.
don't think it's an American thing at all. I think it's like a just cultural blend thing.
Whatever Suna said, I agree. I definitely agree.
Because I don't think I've ever
Meanwhile.
heard anyone say that. That's
Okay,
not British.
well, meal's like probably American, and they've said it apparently. So it's like it's yeah, no, they've definitely said
Are
it.
they
It's like
American, like white, full on white American, or are they like?
oh,
I mean,
they're extremely white.
I
They're
think
so
it's a
white.
little bit like
Oh God. Unfortunate.
I
So
think it's a
sad.
little bit
That's
like
what you
how
said.
they call them otter pops in California, and I am not
Oh my God, I love
anywhere
otter
near
pops.
California, but I still say otter pops. I did not
Okay.
realize that was a California thing.
Otter Pops is like. I guess they are freaking. I'm gonna get a bully. Spanish word.
Anyways, where were we again?
Distraction. Wilbur looked to his father.
Okay. Wilbur looked to his father, but he was busy trying to force a bowl of vegetables on Tommy. When he looked again, Wilbur found himself meeting eyes with Technoblade. The other boy was considering him at length. Wilbur had caught sight of that expression multiple times in the past 5 hours, like Technoblade was inspecting him, less with the scrutiny of a teacher and more with the intense focus of a surgeon trying not to make the wrong cut. What? Wilbur finally asked. Do I have something on my face?
Fucking are you, David? Checkhead.
Wilbur resisted the urge to stick his tongue out, like Tommy undoubtedly would have done. You are a very rude guest.
You're a wee fucking pansy, pal.
I don't see what my physical prowess,
Or like it.
Technoblade inserted, has to do with you being such a pissy bastard, Wilbur finished hotly.
Wilbur,
His father said, swiveling to face his older son.
cursing in front of your baby brother? I taught you better manners than that. I'm not a baby.
Tommy protested.
And what does piss?
Right? See, you guys don't get that. That's like a very British joke. Okay, so I'm explaining this now. Fuck you guys.
I'm about to leave.
so-
I'm about to quit.
so, like,
This
so-
time.
This is a very British thing. So what happens when you're
Are you
visiting like
standing up?
family or
Is that
something?
why your audio changed? You
Yeah,
just
no.
got up, you explained?
Cora gets it. You know, like when you're at family and you go, right then, it's basically like a way to say, all right, I'm off. All right, see you later. Like you're just saying like, right, like as in, I'm leaving now. Thanks, Cora.
Please, just please be colonized. Please. Just colonize me. Become colonized.
You live in America. That's like the most colonized place.
I live in America.
Do you know? Oh, I thought you did. Dude, I'm a white boy.
Anyways,
Dox myself
you
for
were
you.
saying, I think that's my cue to go. You were saying, Kai.
No, I was saying right. I'm saying right, and I'm leaving it at right. Some people wanted the Scottish accent. I'm fucking giving it to them.
Technoblade interrupted suddenly, rising from his seat.
To where?
Father asked.
Oh fuck. None of
You're
your
actually bad.
beeswax,
You're
pal.
actually.
I wasn't paying attention.
Technoblade replied, not flippantly or arrogantly, just stating a fact. Father's
can't
grip
see.
tightened in infinite smith.
What
What the
was I
fuck?
putting?
Infant smith. Infant smelly.
Infinite is smelly. Infinite smelly. Infinite smelly.
On infinite smelly on his spoon.
I think it is my business if you're living in my castle.
Technoblade shrugged.
Aye, alright, try and stop me then.
They stared each other down, the king and the visitor. Red eyes on blue. A moment passed, then another. Father did not move.
Huh, that's what I thought.
This is some kind of
Technoblade
ERP.
Technoblade scoffed, then disappeared in a whirl of fur and scarlet silk. Wilbur glanced at Father, trying to gauge his reaction. Father had never seemed truly old, but in that moment it felt like Wilbur was watching him age 1,000 years per second. Who is he, really? Wilbur asked before he could lose a nerve. Father blinked slowly, as if coming out of a dream.
An old friend. I told you.
From when? He can't be that old of a friend. He's just a teenager. When did you meet him? Wilbur repeated. Father pursed and... Sorry.
I heard that.
you heard my...
ASMR, bro.
Oh, I got cold water on my teeth. That hurt. I got sensitive teeth. Father pursed and unpursed his lips like he was trying to swallow something rancid.
Where am I looking?
Why does it matter?
What? Oh. Why does it matter, Wilbur?
Because you look at him like you look at me, and I don't know what to make of that. Father's gaze pinned Wilbur to his seat, even more than the soreness of his body did. Even Tommy had fallen quiet, sensing, in the way that younger siblings do, that his brother was in the sort of trouble that required absolute silence.
And how do I look at you, Will?
Father asked. Like I disappoint you. Like I did something to hurt you and you're sad I can't remember what. Are those birds?
I am outside, yes, to get away from the noise.
It is also...
The things I do for you. The things I do for you. The things you don't appreciate from me. The ways I change myself. The ways I change where I am. Just so I can make you happy. And you're not happy.
Father
You're not
only...
even proud. Anyways.
It doesn't matter, Wilbur mustered what was left of his strength and rose from his seat. My other non-violent tutors are waiting. If you'll excuse me, Father, Tommy. Tommy stared back at him, wide-eyed. Father only sighed.
That's a long story, Wilbur.
He said with an infinite patience. Wilbur would have preferred he'd screamed.
And not one you're ready to hear, either of you.
He added, giving Tommy a reassuring smile.
But one day I'll...
Sure. Wilbur turned from them and began to walk away. One day, whenever that is. He expected a rebuttal, perhaps wanted one, but as always, there was nothing left to say. What are you saying in chat, bro? What is this?
Hell, what the fuck?
What are you... Copy pasta, copy pasta.
Mom,
I don't even think I'm in the stream.
You're actually not. You actually don't exist.
Oh, it's such a slow
I
moving.
don't exist.
He said, gone. Anyways, I'll continue.
No one even talked about my monologue. Okay, guys.
Your monologue was hot. I'll include it in the YouTube video I make after this.
It's so hot.
They carried on like that for months more. Every morning, Wilbur would pull himself out of bed and head down to the gardens. If you're not doing any, like, if you're not saying anything, please mute. Thank you. I love you, Maple, but it's loud. Anyways. What? You got something to say, bro? Let me.
Yeah, Abby just stepped.
Oh. Is she back? Is she back? We can finally have our Tommy back.
Scuff, let's keep going.
Okay. They carried on like that for months more. Every morning, Wilbur would pull himself out of bed and head down to the gardens, where Technoblade would always be waiting, even after the times he threatened to leave and the times they looked like he was truly going to. Technoblade would walk Wilbur through his stances and correct them by demonstrating how exactly it could be turned against him. The tutor was never fully pleased, but eventually they made him way through the weapons in the chest and had a request for more practice with spears, knives, axes. They never spoke beyond the usual instructions, and Wilbur never complained again when, a few weeks in, he almost disarmed Technoblade during a sparring session with the rapier before Technoblade inevitably knocked him over again. I almost got you, Wilbur had grinned, even as he picked himself up off the floor.
I nearly won't cut it on the battlefield, dickhead.
Technoblade had said with a roll of his eyes.
I was going easy on you.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, Technoblade snorted.
I do not sleep.
Wilbur was still debating whether he'd been joking or not. Eventually, Tommy's jealousy outweighed his drowsiness and began to follow Wilbur to the training pavilion, yawning all the way with his blanket wrapped around his shoulders and trailing in the dewy grass. He'd sit on the floor shouting unhelpful advice and laughing at his brother's failures.
Technoblade,
The younger prince had said at one point.
No, right.
will you train me alongside Wilbur?
Technoblade had eyed Tommy in his blanket, looking so serious that Wilbur thought he might actually be sizing up his little brother.
Well, oh fuck. Wait, am I still doing the Scottish accent? Should I give up?
No, please, I don't want it anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, you do have similar skill levels.
I'm jumping. I'm leaving. I cannot. I am running away. I'm hiding, and I am never speaking to you ever again. Thank you.
Amazing.
Hey, Wilbur tossed a stray pebble at Technoblade's head. It bounced harmlessly off his braided hair.
I want to be strong like you.
Tommy said, uncharacteristically solemn as he stared up at the older boys.
And like Dad.
He raised his gangly arms up to them.
Look at these, Technoblade. They're pulsing with potential.
Techno arched an eyebrow at him, an amused smile tugging at his lips.
Prince, you're years away from needing to learn anything your brother's training, so you don't have to. Understood?
Tommy pouted, but nodded.
Fuck, Korowan's gonna keep doing it, it's tempting.
Fine, as long as it's not you trying to mumble over all the words.
Okay.
Technoblade arched an eyebrow at him, an amused smile tugging at his lips. Wait, you already said that. Right. Tommy pouted but nodded. Wilbur stared at him, feeling as if he just witnessed the taming of a wild beast. He glanced at Technoblade, who had walked over to one corner of the pavilion to stretch. How do you get Tommy to not kick and scream like he does when he doesn't get what he wants from me? Wilbur called out.
I don't kick and scream.
Tommy huffed.
I let out a manly whine.
Probably because they respect me, no you.
Technoblade replied curtly. Wilbur whirled at his brother. Is that true? He demanded with fox hurt.
Yeah, it is.
Tommy shrugged.
I'd respect you more if you weren't reading all the time.
I'm not reading now, Wilbur said, at the same time Technoblade called. I know how to read, too, just to put it out there. Wait.
Yeah, that wasn't you.
It was in the same line. It confused me.
I know, it confused me too. Wait, but it didn't because I know how to read.
No, you don't. You're illiterate.
Yeah,
Illiterate.
Fuck you. We're moving on. I'm not
Illiterate.
reading that line anymore.
So you're not doing it anymore? Okay. Fine then. Afterwards, they would eat breakfast together. Sometimes it would just be Wilbur, Technoblade, and Tommy going over the practice section. Technoblade with his dry corrections and Tommy with his enthusiastic, albeit often inaccurate input. But often Father would join them, and Wilbur would be lying if he said he didn't feel a bit validated whenever Technoblade praised, or as close as the man could get to praise, his improvements in front of his father. Mother had taken to waking late and took her breakfast in her room. They'd visit her there, and Wilbur and Tommy, but she'd often be too tired to speak at all. Tommy tried to introduce Technoblade to her once, but she was already asleep again by the time they arrived at her bedchambers. Kai.
Huh?
Please, it's Technoblade part.
Oh fuck, hold on. Probably for the best.
Technoblade had said.
I've been told I don't make great impressions with mothers, probably because I meet them after I slaughter their wains.
What? Please reserve the morbid jokes for after Tommy's gone to bed, Technoblade, Wilbur said.
What the? Oh, what? Oh, yeah. I was literally right there. What does slaughtered mean?
Tommy asked.
I thought I punted them, mate.
Oh.
Technoblade said.
Hey, the fucking sun.
Oh.
Oh.
Wilbur had hit Technoblade on the shoulder, but he was laughing too. 3 months in, Technoblade had finally relented into letting Wilbur practice long-range weapons, which turned out not to be his forte after all. The session had to stop after Wilbur almost took Tommy's eyes out with an arrow. Tommy was inconsolable. Please don't tell Father, Wilbur begged as he kneeled in front of his wailing brother, wiping Tommy's cheeks as fast as tears came. It was an accident, Tommy. Technoblade was cackling, leaning against one of the pavilion's sculpted pillars.
You should see your face.
He managed to wheeze out between his guffaws.
Oh fuck, this is fucking brilliant.
Wilbur turned to glare at him. You do know if he tells Father that means you're in trouble too? Technoblade snorted.
I'm no fear to your dad.
There it was again, the arrogant dismissal, as if Father were nothing to him. Wilbur clenched his jaw to keep the barbed remarks from spilling. Tommy was still wailing, his tiny face turning red from the effort.
Alright,
Technoblade said after a long moment.
you're pissing me off now, stop.
Tommy didn't.
Tommy, quit it.
Technoblade said more loudly. Tommy stopped, only to wipe his nose on his sleeve, hiccup, and then wail again.
What's wrong with him? That usually works. Fuck.
Technoblade grumbled, stalking closer to them with the caution of a hunter approaching a wild animal. Welcome to the world of Big Brotherhood, Wilbur replied bitterly, still wiping gently at Tommy's face. We do hope you enjoy your stay, but most likely you will suffer. Technoblade came to kneel beside Wilbur.
Oi! Wee man!
Technoblade demanded.
Oh, he says quieting. That's interesting. You've been a wee prick. See what you're doing now? Fucking shut up.
Tommy responded by crying louder.
Oh, for fuck's... What'll it do to make you wished? I'll do anything.
The crying stopped immediately. Oh God, Wilbur put his face in his hands. You're not supposed to say that, Techno. You're never supposed to say that.
What?
Technoblade demanded, panic seeping into his voice for the first time since Wilbur met him.
What that day? What the fuck that day?
You just sound like you're holding your, nose at this point.
I am actually not really breathing through my nose as much.
Tommy sniffled. You said... Oh, wait, no, that's not me.
You said you'll do anything?
Realization dawned on Technoblade's face.
Oh, fuck. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Tommy's eyes began
that's
to
the
water
gist.
once more.
Alright.
Technoblade ran his hands across his face in frustration.
Fine. One thing, and you'll shut up. Forever.
I want to braid your hair.
Tommy said it once. Technoblade blinked.
What?
What? Technoblade echoed. You once got me to ride you like a pony across the castle, and you asked him to let him braid his hair? Tommy nodded with the solemnity of a judge announcing someone's death sentence. Wilbur and Technoblade exchanged glances, Technoblade one of bewilderment, and Wilbur one of utmost betrayal. That was how they found themselves wasting the morning away, sitting together on the damp grass. Wilbur leaned back on his hands and raised his face to the sun, letting the light settle against his skin. He could hear Tommy scurrying around, gathering flowers as the spring breeze blew through the garden. For a moment, all Wilbur could feel was sudden, all-consuming affection. Not for anything in particular, for everything. For the brilliant spinning wheel in the sky, turning everything into burnished gold. For the soft dirt beneath his hands. For the air in his lungs and the pollen on his tongue. For the distant sound of his brother's footsteps. For the boy sitting beside him that, against all odds, Wilbur found he might actually like beyond mere tolerance. For the levity that had begun to chase away at the more exhausting thoughts. He cracked one eye open and found Technoblade staring at him again with that all too serious look. What? Wilbur asked. Can a man be glad that he's not getting tossed around for one morning? Technoblade scoffed. Kai, please.
Shit. Right, hold on. Technoblade scoffed. Where am I?
Just do it normally. Don't discredit.
Oh, shit.
Technoblade
Wait.
scoffed.
Yep, no, I've lost it. I'm using the don't discredit my Oh, I thought you were telling me like don't discredit it in like
No.
yeah, no, I thought you were being like no, don't use the accent anymore. Stop discrediting the fanfic. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, I'm
Discredit
being
my
really
teaching
aggressive
skills.
about this. I hate accents. You can't do any more of them ever again, or else you're out.
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of. I was like, sheesh, okay. Don't discredit my teaching skills like that. You've been getting tossed around less and less these days.
Was that meant to be a compliment?
None of my compliments will ever be men. They'll be passive aggressive at best, openly hostile at worst.
Oh, of course, we have to pry positive affirmation from your cold, dead hands. Is that it?
Aye.
Technoblade confirmed. They went silent as another breeze blew past them, blowing Technoblade's unbound hair across his face. Then, before Wilbur could think twice about it, he said, What did you mean before when you told Father our tutoring sessions were a distraction? A distraction from what? Technoblade's expression darkened for a fraction of a second before he schooled it into careful neutrality. He shrugged nonchalantly.
Well, grown boy like you're meant to have hobbies beyond whatever you were doing before.
I read, Wilbur said, and played music. That was a sufficient distraction, I think.
Whoops.
Not according.
Not according to Felza.
Why do you talk like that, by the way? Yeah, Kai, why do you talk like that?
Oh, who's saying that? Hold on.
No, it's just me. Wilbur
fuck.
shifted to look Technoblade squarely in the eyes. You call the king Filza, which I can excuse because you're, well, you. But Father also calls you an old friend, and I've asked Mother, because Father tells Mother everything, but she never heard of you before. And you and all these things about weapons and warfare, far too much.
You're for a kingdom that's enjoyed peace for decades, Princeling.
Technoblade said with a world's worth of exhaustion in his voice.
See right past those walls? Different. The West End of Glasgow and East End of Glasgow. Wait, fuck, where was I? That's not a joke. Okay, shit. No, I lost where I was. Fuck. Shit. Dex. It's different.
Scuffed
All right.
stream, scuffed
Yep,
stream.
knowing war young isn't entirely uncommon. Kids just grow faster out there. They have to.
Wilbur took fistfuls of grass and threw it at Technoblade's face. Technoblade, unamused, simply began to blow the grass from his face.
Very mature, Your Highness.
Technoblade said dryly. You're being all sad again, Wilbur muttered, pulling his knees up to his chin. He looked up just as Tommy came toddling towards him with his arms a burst of color. Yellow astromera. Ooh, I wonder what this looked like. Hold on. I'm looking it up.
Alstromerias.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I know how to read, dumbass. I don't even think that's true.
They're like lilies things. White daisies, purple malvas, freesias of color of Technoblade's hair. Oh, God. Wait, no, that's you. Shit. That's you.
Oh, is it? Fuck.
Maybe I should just do your parts.
Yeah. So listen. I'm sending important messages, and also I can't read.
The point of the stream is to make you cry, bro.
Oh shit! So it is.
Yeah, I might have to go to my phone's at like 20%. and I can't go
Aw.
inside because it's gonna be loud, and then I'm gonna get shit on. Wait, how many chapters are in this thing?
7.
Oh, God, we're only through 2.
Fuck. Can we stop after 2, then come back to it another time?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can.
Okay, thanks, God. Okay.
Cool. Where?
Oh, no.
What?
Well, what thing?
Genuinely, what is my line?
Oh,
Oh
God.
gods.
I thought you
Oh
said,
god.
oh, God.
Okay.
Technoblade groaned as Tommy dumped his collection before them proudly. Tommy grinned as he kneeled behind Technoblade.
Dad used to braid Mama's hair all the time before she got tired. He taught me how.
Technoblade turned towards Wilbur.
Should I be worried?
Very, Wilbur said sagely. At least he doesn't have scissors this time, he added, recalling a particularly incensed butler who had foolishly offered himself to be Tommy's training dummy last year and ended up with less hair than he bargained for. Tommy turned Technoblade's hair away from Wilbur.
Hold still.
He ordered, beginning to take handfuls of Technoblade's hair, tugging them into place.
Ow.
Technoblade said after a particularly harsh pull.
Sorry.
Tommy said cheerfully and began to braid in earnest. Wilbur sat back and watched them in silence, his ferocious tutor and even more ferocious younger brother. The sunlight seemed to catch in the tangles of Tommy's hair, making it shine like a golden halo. Wilbur had never seen anyone as focused as Tommy was in that moment, working through Technoblade's hair, pausing only to debate on what flowers should go where. And Technoblade, for his part, did not move at all, let out so much a word of complaint, even when Tommy took time to educate them on all what exactly each flower meant. I could write a song about this, Wilbur mused, then parvel at the thought. As if a block he had been carrying for years lifted, and his art was now inches away from his hands. If only he'd brought his guitar with him today. Tomorrow, he promised himself. I'll write our song tomorrow.
There.
Tommy said at last, tying the end of the braid off with a red ribbon Technoblade often used himself. Wilbur blinked in surprise. Tommy, that's actually good. Really good. Technoblade reached back and ran his hands delicately over the elegant braid and the flowers woven into it. He hummed appreciatively, then caught himself before he could fully smile. Because he was still Technoblade after all.
Decent.
Was his only comment.
I'm not done yet.
Tommy said and produced one more flower, a single yellow rose.
This one's my favorite.
He added as he gently tucked the flower behind Technoblade's ear, the one that had the emerald earring and Wilbur found so familiar.
Because it means friendship.
Technoblade stiffened. His mouth opened and closed like he was trying to breathe but forgot how, before he finally said,
Are we friends then?
Tommy stood and brushed grass from his pants.
Well, obviously.
Obviously.
Oh, hey!
The sudden excitement in Tommy's tone caught both Wilbur and Technoblade and Wilbur's attention. He began waving to someone in the distance, as if his smile as bright as life itself.
It's Dad and Mama.
Mother? Wilbur was on his feet at once, his heart hammering in his chest like a moth set aflame. Sure enough, there was Mother, out in the sun once more, for the first time in over a year. Wilbur took a shaky inhale, not daring to breathe again, as if the image before him would dissipate like smoke. Mother smiling at them as she walked arm in arm with Father through the garden. Tommy ran fast as his tiny legs could carry him and launched himself into their mother's waiting arms. Wilbur couldn't ignore that brief flash of pain that flickered over his mother's features as she gathered Tommy into a hug, but neither could he help his relief at seeing her walk at all. Guy?
Fuck. Well, I'm muting myself instead of unmuting myself.
Technoblade said from behind him.
Go ahead then.
Wilbur turned to his tutor, and before Technoblade could protest, he took him by the wrist and dragged him over to where Mother and Father were waiting. Father's smile was gentle and welcoming, and Wilbur could almost forgive the sadness that remained in his eyes, like a ghost hovering at the edges of a celebration. And this is it!
What
What?
was it?
I said, this
What
is
is
it! It's
What is it?
finally Mumsa time!
Oh.
You must be Technoblade.
Mother said happily, carrying Tommy in her arms as she addressed the tutor.
I do apologize that it has taken us this long to be acquainted. Though Phil has been telling me of all you have done for our Wilby.
Wilbur expected Technoblade's usual icy jabs and was quite surprised when he bowed his head in what could pass as a deference to an untrained eye.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty. Your sons have told me a bunch about you.
Mother gave Technoblade a conspiratorial grin as she asked,
And I trust all they've said is in my favor, yes? Nothing about how sharp my tongue can be when I'm cranky.
Oh, I assure you, they've painted you as nothing less than perfect.
Technoblade glanced at father.
Although Felser may have said a thing or two about your rigid standards for tea.
Father chuckled. He pressed closer to Mother and Tommy, keeping an arm around Mother's waist, as if to steady her, as if to hold her together just a little bit longer.
I told you that in confidence, Techno. What? That was me? Or was that you?
Yeah,
What?
that was you. Continue.
Technoblade.
Mother repeated.
That's a rather odd name. I said the same thing.
Tommy added brightly, always eager to be part of the adults' conversation. Technoblade only shrugged, once again demonstrating a level of civility that Wilbur would never have expected of the same man that regularly combated the king's orders. Guys.
Shit. I would feel too much like a traitor if I abandoned it now after all these years with it. My one constant companion, more loyal than most.
Loyalty is a rather precious gift.
Mother sighed softly. She transferred Tommy to one arm and reached out with the other until she was cupping Technoblade's cheek.
I do hope. I do hope, my boy,
She continued, her voice as tranquil as still as the lake.
that you will find people you can trust more than your own name. You deserve that, and more, for all you have done for my family.
Technoblade blinked slowly at her, for once struck speechless. Tommy giggled.
Techno's blushing.
No, I'm no.
Technoblade spat hotly.
Yes, you are.
Tommy cooed, leaning back into Mother's arms, safe in the belief that she would never drop him.
You so are. Tommy, don't torture the poor child.
Mother said, even as she giggled herself.
Will?
Father reached out and ruffled Wilbur's hair playfully.
You look 100 miles away.
Wilbur exhaled slowly. I'm just remembering. This. Mother's soft smile, Tommy's cheery laugh, Technoblade's half-hearted protests, Father's hand on his head, everything. Nothing, Wilbur said. Forget I said anything. He smiled at his father for once without reservation. He had never felt so light. He was almost a son again. Would you like to watch Techno and I spar? Father's expression softened.
Of course, I would be delighted to.
It was the last good day. For the next part, I'd like all of you to be very serious. Thank you.
I'm going to cry.
Okay.
The knock came at midnight. It dragged Wilbur from the comfort of a dreamless sleep.
Wilbur.
Technoblade's voice, urgent, almost angry.
Wilbur! Fuck, I shouldn't have actually shouted that. Open the door.
Wilbur threw off his covers and bolted for the door. Technoblade stood outside his bedchambers, his red eyes blazing in the dark. He said the 3 words that would come to haunt Wilbur until the day he died.
Is your mother?
They ran through the castle, Wilbur for the first time outpacing his tutor. They arrived at the long hallway that led to his parents' bedchambers, already choked with servants.
Move.
Technoblade demanded, his voice booming over the din.
Move, or I'll make you.
The servants rushed to his sides, clearing a path for Wilbur and Technoblade. Wilbur couldn't register any of their faces or their voices. All there was silence until the worst sound Wilbur had ever heard, an anguished cry that turned Wilbur's blood cold. Tommy! Tommy's here! He burst into the room and found his brother curled into a ball by the foot of the bed where his mother lay, sleeping. No, not sleeping, not sleeping, not sleeping. Wilbur couldn't breathe. Tommy was still crying for their mother, for their father. Father! Wilbur scanned the room, but there was no trace of the king, no trace of the man who had just lost his wife.
Tommy.
Technoblade pushed past Wilbur and into the room. Wilbur could see him, could see it all, but it felt like watching someone else's life happen before leagues under the sea. Everything happened too slowly, too distantly. Technoblade kneeling by his brother, prying him off at the cold floor. Tommy wrapping his arms around Technoblade's neck, burying his neck into his shoulder and screaming so loud, too loud. Technoblade turned towards Wilbur, handing him something, pressing it to Wilbur's cold fingers. Wilbur looked down at his hand. It was a letter, crumpled, tear-stained by his own tears, he realized belatedly. Techno, it said. Tell the boys I'm sorry. And tell Wilbur he'll be a better king than I ever was. The world fell from under Wilbur's feet, leaving him suspended in the air, free-falling with no true end. No, he thought, or maybe said, or maybe screamed, no, this is how it's supposed to go. Oh, the voices said, but it's already happened before. Wilbur blinked again. Father's gone, he said, not taking his eyes off from the letter. He left?
Wilbur.
Technoblade's voice, rising above Tommy's anguished sobbing, was the worry. Was that worry in the other boy's voice?
I found the letter slipped under my door, and by the time I came here, it was too late. Your mother, she was...
Oh, so gone? The letter began to shake violently. Not the letter, Wilbur's hands. But she was just here this morning. She watched us spar. She was smiling. She was alive. Technoblade, Techno! This was inevitable. Wilbur clamped his hand over his ears. Shut up! It was meant to be. Go away! Wilbur fell to his knees, pressing his hands tighter and tighter to block out the sound. I thought I'd gotten rid of you. I thought you said you were going to leave me alone. Sudden pain laced up Wilbur's arm, and then he opened his eyes to find Technoblade kneeling in front of him, his hand an iron grip around Wilbur's wrist. Tommy was gone. When did that happen? And the silence was left behind was almost as bad as the screaming.
Come back to me, Wilbur.
Technoblade ordered.
Who do you hear?
You, Wilbur said haltingly. He was not for this act, not for the stage. And the voices. Technoblade nodded, easing his grip on Wilbur's wrist.
I can help you.
No one can. Wilbur squeezed his eyes shut, but all he could see was Mother's still form, Father's letter.
Oh, fuck. Wilbur, look at me.
Wilbur shook his head. I can't.
Then listen to me. I can help you.
Technoblade repeated firmly.
Because I have voices too.
Wilbur's lungs began to ache with the quickness of his breath. You do? He sounded like a child seeking comfort from a distant figure. But there is too much pain to make room for shame.
I do.
Technoblade said.
So breathe with me until they go away, and we can figure out the next step together.
That was all they did. They breathed in and out. In again. Technoblade's hand on his wrist and the sickly sweet smell of rotting flowers keeping him rooted to the ground, to the universe. In and out, and in again. And between one breath and the next, finally Wilbur remembered what he'd heard the name Technoblade before. Father, Wilbur swallowed down a sob. He told me a story once when I was young, the first time the voices ever talked to me. He told me a story about an immortal god who is doomed to hear voices in his head forever. A blood god. Technoblade, you're a god?
Don't worry about that now.
His voice was distant, but kind.
It doesn't matter.
But I don't remember how the story ended. Exhaustion was a heavy blanket weighing down on him until he was leaning on Technoblade's shoulder. His throat felt raw, like he'd eaten broken glass. The story has no end, the voices said, but they sound distant too. Tell me how the story ends, Wilbur begged, even as he felt the last of his consciousness slowly fracture into nothingness. Tell me you'll still be here when I close the book.
Wilbur,
Technoblade mumbled something too low to hear, then he said.
Okay, I'll be here.
Wilbur wanted to say more, or perhaps he didn't. Outside, somewhere far away, bells began to toll, chiming his mother's death ballad, heralding his ascension. Tell the boys I'm sorry. His father's voice this time, as quiet as the rest. Between one breath and the next, Wilbur was king. Between one breath and the next, he was asleep. End of chapter.
I finished this at 1 a.m. LMAO, so forgive any errors, please, period. I am begging, period. I tried to make Wilbur
I'm gonna shoot you in the foot.
Sound as distinct as possible from techno apostrophes. Dash, let me know how I did, comma, or if they sound too similar, period. If anyone's wondering, comma, Wilbur is 15-ish in this chapter.
Please, we just had an emotional moment, just...
Tommy is 6-ish, period. Also, follow me on Twitter at THCS.
Following him on Twitter right now.
Well, that's the end of the
Don't cry
second
over
chapter.
SBI together, period.
And that's where we're
Comments and
gonna
kudos
end
are
it
always
for
appreciated.
today.
Less than 3.
Literally, maybe I should have done Tommy crying in the background so it could have been more like you were in the scene.
You can do a crying.
Alright,
No,
I'm
you
go- I'm
shouldn't have
gonna
done
go
that. You
cry
shouldn't have
myself to
done that.
sleep now. Goodbye.
All right, bye,
Well,
Kai. Thank you for
goodbye,
your
bye,
wonderful
bye.
performance. You will be needed again very
Thanks,
soon.
Oh,
I will
fuck.
also be leaving the exact same time Kai leaves. Oh, god damn it. Okay, that's
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
Okay, well, thank you all for coming to the stream. It's been a wonderful stream. I'll record more. We'll do more of the chapters soon. Hope you guys all have a great night. It is currently almost 10 o'clock. I will probably sleep after this. I've got work in the morning. Bye, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Follow or something. Bye.